Prophecies are arguably the best way to verify someone's prophethood or verify that he's a fraud.
Oh, absolutely. Because the only slightly better method would be God personally interrupting the sky, parting the clouds, dimming the sun, and announcing, "Yes, this is my messenger, that's my book." Until that happens, we're apparently left with accounts compiled centuries later, based on chains of narrators, who all, without exception, lived and died after the prophecy happened.
Today, I will present you a prophecy that is so airtight, so specific, and confirmed to have been said and uttered by the claimant himself, namely the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. After the Prophet passed away, the Muslims fell into civil war, multiple civil wars. Now, during these civil wars, one of the battles was called the Battle of Siffin. This is a battle that took place between the pro-Muawiyah, supporters of Muawiyah forces, and the supporters of Ali ibn Abi Talib, the cousin of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is during this battle that a Sahabi, a companion named Ammar ibn Yasir, may Allah be pleased with him, passed away, was killed, and was martyred. Well, it comes in many authentic narrations, in Bukhari, in Muslim, in Musnad Imam Ahmad, in Musannaf Abdul Razzaq al-San'ani, and many other hadith compilations, that the Prophet ﷺ said, تَقْتُلُهُ الْفِئَةُ الْبَاغِيَةُ, a oppressive group will kill Ammar ibn Yasir.
All this prophecy actually says is that Ammar ibn Yasir will be killed. That's it. Whoever the killers are, they will automatically be labeled oppressive. That narrows it down to literally every violent death in history. Is it risky? Not really. If he dies in battle, prophecy fulfilled. If he's assassinated, prophecy fulfilled. If he dies mysteriously, someone oppressive must have done it. If he dies peacefully, in bed, he was poisoned in his sleep by oppressive ninjas we can't find. And if anyone reports that he died normally, well, they're obviously unreliable, because that would contradict the Prophet. And the Prophet can't be wrong because he's a prophet, which is what we're trying to prove. In other words, the prophecy doesn't prove the system protects the prophecy from ever being falsified. Which means, using your own religious text to prove your religion is true is textbook circular reasoning.
So as you can see here, this is the diagram of the narration and its transmission. We have multiple different routes through which this tradition is transmitted. We have a route through Abu Huraira, another by Ibn Abbas, another by Salama, another by Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, and another by Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, and another by Amr ibn Hazm.
Okay, he's showing us a big impressive chart, lines going left, right, diagonally, with names branching everywhere. But once you zoom in, what are we actually dealing with? 6 names at the bottom. That's it. Now let's ask the forbidden question. Did these 6 people just get together and make it up? Or repeat something they heard for political reasons? Because here's the awkward little detail the Orthodox Muslim conveniently forgot to mention. Every single one of them lived through the event in question, and every single one of them died after it. In other words, none of this is documented by people who didn't already know the outcome. So, fabrication? Possible. Is it probable? Not really. At least not in any serious historical sense, I guess, but still far more probable than the magical conclusion being suggested.
If you see the chain on the very left here by Abu Huraira, this one, we're not going to look at this because it is not corroborated. You see, it goes through one person at each stage until it ends up in Jami' at-Tirmidhi. We cannot verify this beyond at-Tirmidhi.
Fine by me. If that left chain isn't corroborated, great. The 6 are now 5. Now let's look at this narrator, Ikrimah. Here's a completely mundane hypothetical. Maybe he heard a version of the story circulating, thought it sounded powerful, and attributed it upward to give it authority. Can I prove that? Obviously no. I wasn't there. Neither were you. You assume perfect transmission and integrity. I assume normal human behavior, like the possibility of embellishment. Same epistemological boat. So realistically, we might only have 4 independent sources left. And if history, especially religious history, has taught us anything, it's this. 4 people are absolutely capable of sincerely passing along a story, polish it, exaggerate it, turn memories into legends, legends into theology, and theology into a man-made religion. Now let's talk about Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. There's a report attributed to him where he explicitly says, "My companions told me about it, and I did not hear it from the Prophet." If that's the case, then we have to ask, how do you independently prove he heard this directly, without appealing to the very tradition we're scrutinizing? Now we're down to 3. Am I being too skeptical for you? Well, how exactly is that my fault when the eyewitnesses all lived through the event and then died decades later? We're not cross-examining them in real time. We're not interviewing them the next morning. We're dealing with memories preserved, transmitted, retold, and systematized after the fact.
I want you to focus on the route through Salama. Salama tells Hassan al-Basri about this report. Now, it is at Hassan al-Basri that this report, this chain, this route, starts to cluster. So you see here, it starts to cluster at, she first tells her 2 sons, and
Clustering just means that from one point onward, more people start repeating it. That doesn't tell you whether it's true. It tells you it caught on.
now this narration is so independently attested that it reaches the level of tawatur, of mass transmission.
Okay, but in this discussion, that word is doing a lot more emotional work than analytical work, because mass transmission only kicks in after the companion level. The Orthodox Muslim is blind to this fact because in Sunni methodology, the companions as a class are presumed trustworthy. All of them. Tens of thousands. No questions asked. But here's the uncomfortable question. Is there mass transmission at the companion level? The answer is no.
When Ammar ibn Yasir is killed, pro-Umayyad sources and anti-Umayyad, anti-Muawiyah sources both report that when the killing took place, the pro-Umayyad sources said to one another that they had remembered the Prophet saying that Ammar ibn Yasir will be killed by a transgressing party. And they started to freak out. Why? Because it is they that killed him, which means that the Prophet had spoken about them as being a transgressing group. And so one of the companions tells Muawiyah about what he remembered the Prophet saying. And Muawiyah does not deny this hadith. Pro-Umayyad sources do not deny this hadith as some kind of anti-Umayyad, anti-Muawiyah polemic or anti-Muawiyah propaganda. Rather, the pro-Umayyad, pro-Muawiyah sources report that when Muawiyah heard about this, Muawiyah said, "It is they who killed him because it is they who brought him under our swords." So they tried to reinterpret this tradition instead of flat out rejecting it, which meets the criteria of embarrassment.
They killed him by bringing him to us under our swords. A 5-year-old wouldn't buy that. And yet, some of Muhammad's companions did. His entire army did. They didn't abandon him. They didn't mutiny. The fight continued. So now we're left with 3 possibilities. The prophecy was extremely flexible. The companions were shockingly bad at following Muhammad. Or, maybe, the story developed later. And what are these pro-Umayyad sources? Does pro-Umayyad mean anti-Ali partisan? Or does it mean someone who liked both sides but thought one made a slight mistake? In that case, pro-Umayyad is doing a lot of heavy lifting. Now, embarrassing stories can support authenticity. But here's the thing about political history. Embarrassing stories don't get denied. They get rebranded. If denial won't work, reinterpretation will. I mean, look at the chart. Most of these people are long dead by the time the reports are written down. Another thing, we're told Sahih al-Bukhari contains this hadith. It was also narrated by al-Bukhari, except that he did not mention the phrase, "the rebellious group will kill you." So in some copies of Sahih al-Bukhari, the crucial phrase is missing. In other copies, it's there. So, was it there or not? The miracle may hinge on it. I don't have the manuscript expertise to answer, but here's the key point. I'm not the one making the definitive claim. The Orthodox Muslim is. He has to prove it. Until then, maybe Sahih al-Bukhari shouldn't be highlighted on that chart.
As for this fitna between the 2 beloved companions, we say exactly what Sa'id ibn Jubair, the student of Ibn Abbas, said when questioned by the tyrant Al-Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi. He says, "This is a civil war, a fitna that Allah has purified our hands from, so allow us and let us purify our tongues from it." We love the Sahaba, we love Ali radiallahu anhu, we love Muawiyah radiallahu anhu. They are both beloved companions, but we do say that Ali radiallahu anhu was more correct in this dispute Then Muawiyah.
He makes it sound like this was just two uncles having a mild theological disagreement over tea. Let me remind everyone what actually happened. Muawiyah was governor of the Levant under Uthman. Uthman is assassinated by rebels. Ali becomes the fourth caliph. Muawiyah says, "I will not give allegiance until Uthman's killers are punished," because Uthman was from Muawiyah's tribe. Ali responds essentially, "Look, I can't just snap my fingers and round everyone up. The empire is unstable. The rebels are mixed into the population. This is politically complicated." Seems reasonable, right? Well, Muawiyah, may Allah be pleased with him, decided that this disagreement was worth, let me check my notes, a full-scale civil war. Armies were mobilized, battle lines were drawn, tens of thousands of believers were slaughtered. Companions of the Prophet died, including Ammar ibn Yasir. And we're told this wasn't about power. It was just a moral stance, just a concerned governor with an army. But here's the funny part, and I do mean actually funny. Ali is eventually killed. His son Hassan takes leadership. Then Hassan relinquishes authority to Muawiyah. Now Muawiyah is ruler of the entire Muslim world. So finally, justice for Uthman, right? Surely now, with full control, he punishes the killers. Guess what? He doesn't. But hey, Muawiyah is now the supreme leader, so that's a good thing, right? We love him. He's a beloved companion. May Allah be pleased with him.
I see. It seems this Nietzsche was quite the profound thinker. Or perhaps he skipped right past profound and went straight to crazy instead. Oh well, enough of that.